tonight I will just read through the list of board members and then also administrators. And if you are here, please say here. So we will start. I am Lauren Tice Miller, and we will go to Erica Price.
Here.
Rocky Buznitz.
Here.
Rosa Cavazos.
Here.
Eric Deecher.
Here.
Renee Hansen. Jason Schultz.
Here.
We have Marty Stessman.
Here.
Do I see Matt Hirsch?
Mr. Hirsch still does not have power at his house.
Okay.
He will not
I
be
wondered
here.
about that. Okay. Let me see. Do I have Dr. O'Brien?
Here.
And we have Blair Anderson,
Here.
Nathan Hofstra,
Here.
Stacy Giebler,
Here.
Stacy Bell,
Here.
Sarah Hoyer,
Here.
and Tiffany Kinch.
Here.
And then do we have Kirsten Bervert? Not on yet. Rebecca Hummer,
Here.
Katie Bivens,
Here.
and do we have Scott Dial here? There he is. And we have Tim Urich
Here.
and Ed West.
Here.
Is there anybody here who I did not call?
I may have been having Zoom issues, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. We got you, Scott. All right, moving on to approval of agenda and minutes.
Move for approval. Jason.
I have a motion by Jason. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Rosa. And all in favor, we will do a roll call vote. If there are no other questions or comments, okay. We'll go to Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Yes. Rosa.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen.
Yes, I assume this is for the minutes and agenda.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren Tice Miller is a yes, so a 7-0 vote. We'll move on to communications, comments, concerns from patrons. Sarah, did we receive anything for tonight?
Nope, not tonight.
All right, thank you. We will move on to item 6, action items, business by consent.
Eric, I move for approval.
Okay, I've got a motion by Eric. Do I have a second?
Jason seconds.
A second by Jason. If there are no comments or questions, we'll move to a roll call vote. Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is a yes, so that's a 7-0 vote. Okay, we will move on to approve positive USD 450 Facebook page.
Bryce Litke has developed a positive USD 450 Facebook page, would like permission from the board to maintain that page and to use the Thunderbird logo as a part of that Facebook page. He's submitted rules and regulations for the board to consider in making this decision.
Is there, I know he mentions in his letter of potentially having someone from the district or a Stuco representative as an administrator. I know he's an admin right now. Is there somebody from the district other than a student as an admin currently?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So I like his idea of it being like a Stuco project and staying in the hands of Stuco. So if we could get either Tiffany or Mrs. Bourgeon added as an admin, I think this would be a great project for the students to keep. there any other
If there's-
discussion?
This is Jason moving approval.
Okay, I've got a motion by Jason. Do I have a second?
Rocky
This is Renee
second.
seconding.
Okay, we have a motion by Jason and a second by Rocky. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this? Okay, seeing none, we will move to a roll call vote. Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is an aye. That's a 7-0 vote. Okay, moving on. Item C, approve purchase of Apple iPads.
IT Department's requesting approval to purchase 477th generation iPads and cases to be deployed to various schools as specified and approved on the capital outlay plan the board approved last fall. It's a direct purchase from Apple at a total cost of just under $222,000. Recommend approval.
So moved.
Motion by Erica. Do I have a second?
Rosa, second.
Second by Rosa. If there are no questions or comments, we'll move to a roll call vote. And we have a roll call vote. Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is a yes for a 7-0 vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to item D, approve pay application to Schneider Electric.
This is to Schneider Electric for the lighting project in the amount of $184,439.76. And to date, Mr. Hobbs tells me they have replaced 2,900 fixtures at the high school so far.
Wow.
All right, do I have a motion for approval?
Renee, motion for approval.
Motion by Renee. Do I have a second?
Eric, second.
A second by Eric. See if there are no questions or comments, we'll move to roll call. Roll call vote. Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is a yes for a 7-0 vote. All right, item E, approve memorandum of agreement with Azura Credit Union.
This is the memorandum of agreement we presented the board a couple of months ago that will allow Azura to use and issue debit cards with the Thunderbird logo to customers who desire one. In exchange, the district will receive 5 cents per transaction when the cards are used. We tabled it a couple months ago and we asked to renegotiate a little bit better deal. They did respond, they did consider it, but this is the best they offer for their EMV debit cards. So we bring it back to you for approval again and recommend approval.
Do I have a motion for approval?
I can, just so everybody's educated on this and knows what we're getting into here. I do have some, some information that I can share just because I'm in that industry, and I can tell you, I can tell you that the institution's probably going to do an average debit card usage transaction is about $37, and every one that they clear, they'll make about 1.2% on that as an institution. And so, if you got let's just say optimistically, let's just say that the successful transaction rollout of this and we ramp it up and we get a lot of people to buy into it. Let's just say that optimistically there's 36,000 transactions in a year's time. Then Azure would probably be making about almost $16,000 on this program. That would be what they'd be bringing in if their interchange rate is 1.2%. And as a result, Shawnee Heights would get about $1,800 from that. So it's not. I mean, it is awful one-sided, but I appreciate administration trying to reach out and get a little bit better deal. But just wanted to let everybody know it's not going to be a great big giant windfall of money that's going to be coming in, even though that even if it is being heavily used. So,
Do we know?
But it is better than nothing.
You guys.
Sorry, Eric, what were you saying?
Do we know if there's other districts in the area that are doing this?
I don't know about other districts. There are other nonprofits in the area that are doing it, and this is the same deal. This is the standard contract and agreement that they offer for all nonprofits that they work with. And Rocky's correct. In terms of the math he's done, that was the estimated revenue that would be generated off it in a year.
It's better than nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's free money we don't
Yes,
have to
yeah,
fundraise for.
well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, it depends. I mean, I liken it to somebody that's saying, hey, I'm really generous and I'm gonna let you use my name and profit from my name. I'm gonna sell you a $20,000 car. I'm gonna donate a portion to charity, and you find out it's $100. Well, that's not necessarily, they're not doing, that's better than nothing, true. But I think they could do better, but I'm not opposed to it either.
How long are we signing up for this? Is it a
3
year-to-year
years.
thing or is it indefinitely?
It's 3 years, and then after 3 years, it can be canceled by either party.
Okay.
Are there other banks that offer this as well? Or is it just?
I'm not aware of any other in the area that offer it. I know CapFed has looked into it, but they currently do not offer anything. I knew when they had looked into it, they looked into a significantly higher sharing portion than what's being offered here. But I'm supportive of doing it. I'm just wanting to make sure everybody's aware of what the numbers are here and what the its financial institutions be profiting off of our namesake and image compared to what they're giving us.
Do we know, is this the same organization that's doing the Miracle Network, where the young, the little boy is wearing the cape going down the, it's Stormont Vale? Am I thinking of the right one? And they promote the fact that a portion of the proceeds go to help.
I don't know.
Okay. I just didn't know if they were planning to have some type of a advertising campaign where they're going to be.
Well, and the other option is if they're going to use their debit card anyway, and if they're just using an Azure credit card, we're getting nothing. So if we at least have some benefit from it.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
I support it. I just want to see if there's more to this.
No, I'm not saying you don't support it. I'm just thinking logically,
yeah,
it's better than nothing.
It's not. Yeah, it's if they promote and get people to buy into it, they'll do well for themselves, and the district will do okay.
I just don't want us to be blindsided that suddenly we're seeing, our logo and all those things on advertisements. I mean, if it could be positive, that's great. So anyway, that's it.
Is there a charge for anyone to get that particular card? Or is it just something that a member who has a card can go in and exchange the other? Do we know that?
I do not.
This is Jason. I have my bank accounts with Azure, and I happen to have 2 of the Community Cares cards. And it's it's just like your standard debit card. You go in, you request, you can request that your debit cards get set up for such, and they can either turn around and print you one right there. It's just a little card. The standard issue is just their standard Azure debit card with community cares on it. Or you can turn around and order a new debit card with it. I currently have mine set up to go to a veteran to help a veterans cause downtown. Of course, we agree to this. I'm going to turn around and have it pointed this direction. But it's just, when I got mine, it was just as simple as going in and asking to have one done up.
I
Lauren,
wanted to make sure there wasn't any charge to anybody going in and getting it. So sorry, Renee, didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to move approval.
Okay.
I
We have a motion by Renee and a second by Rosa. Are there any other questions or comments? Being none, we'll go to a roll call vote. We've got Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is an aye for a 7-0 vote. Okay, moving on to item F, approved Tecumseh North Elementary partial roof bid.
We are recommending approval of the low bid from Diamond Everly in the amount of $204,106 for a section of roof at Tecumseh North. This was on the original capital outlay list that the board approved last fall.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I've got a motion from Erica. Do I have a second?
Eric, second.
And a second by Eric. If there aren't any other questions or comments, we'll move to a roll call vote. Rocky Buznitz,
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos,
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher,
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen,
Renee, yes.
Erica Price,
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz,
Jason, I.
and Lauren is an aye for a 7-0 vote. All right, moving on to discussion items. And item A is a task force discussion. And I believe all of you have received the progress report that I had Tiffany send to everybody. I wanted to start by thanking all of the members of the task force. We had a great group of people. There were a total of 18 members, patrons, parents, and teachers, and they really brought a unique background and insights, and we had a really great discussions with them. We met 3 times for 2 hours each time, and we had a 4th meeting scheduled for March 17th, but due to the mass gathering limitations, we weren't able to meet. But we sent out a survey to members instead. 6 recommendations ended up coming out of the meetings that we did conduct, and we also had many suggestions come from the comments that were made on the survey. And those are all outlined in the progress report that was provided to all of you, as well as members of the task force and administrators. And then after our discussion this evening, the report will be made available to the public. I'm thinking, Tiffany, you can probably post it on the website somehow. One of the biggest takeaways from the group was that when it comes to behavior and discipline, not all situations are black and white. The group recognized that there needs to be consistency, but there also needs to be some flexibility and discretion given to administrators. And so then based on this, one of the recommendations that they made was to not continue the zero tolerance policy that we adopted on a temporary basis this past fall. Also during our meetings that we had, we did review the athletic code of conduct from page 17 of the high school handbook. And it was recommended that it be changed to be the extracurricular code of conduct. And then there were some additional items listed for consideration such as, who provides the oversight of expectations established by individual teams or activities. And I know that Ed West and Eric and I have talked about this, and for the sake of simplicity for this year, the athletic code of conduct is going to be removed from the handbook. And then Ed said that they will continue to consider the other items that were provided within that specific recommendation. And then Ed is also working to make improvements to the handbook that we weren't necessarily able to cover within the task force, but that he had anticipated. And so he had already begun working on that. And so those improvements include clarifying the discipline chart and then also revising the bullying policy. And again, Ed and Eric and I discussed these items just last week, and we'll continue to work with him on these items before they're formally brought to the board. And we do have a little bit of time with the high school handbook because it's not actually printed. And so we do have a little bit more time to work on making some of those adjustments. And I really appreciate Ed's willingness to work on that with us. The task force was also unable to discuss communication and the areas of improvement. And if you recall, this was the third charge of the task force, but I will say that Tiffany's already been working to identify some of those areas and has been actively working to make improvements and has been doing a really good job at that. And she and Erica and I have been discussing some ideas for clarifying appropriate channels for communicating with the district and how to make it a little bit easier for communication to go back and forth between our parents and patrons in the district. So we want to make that easier, and improving communication for the district has always been a priority of mine, and I look forward to continuing to work with Tiffany on that. As I've said, I believe this task force was very beneficial, and there are many things that have come out of it. This is just a brief summary. You've read, I'm sure many of you have read the full report already, and I know that there are many items in it that will continue to be discussed. I do want to thank Stacy Giebler for all of your help in facilitating the meetings. You really helped set the tone for the group and you kept us on track. And I also want to thank Tim Urich and Ed West for your willingness to work with the task force and for making the changes that will ultimately improve our district. So I want to thank everybody for giving us this opportunity to have this task force and being able to discuss some of these things. I really think it was really great. Eric, is there anything you wanted to add?
You did an excellent job in summarizing everything with it. I would say too that the big takeaway from me was the fact that immediately the folks over there saw that a lot of the things that we are doing in the district, we're doing it right, and they seem to have a new appreciation for what we do, and it was good. And the great discussions came out of, I think, even the smallest things. We'd kind of go one direction, and then it would just kind of, I think it was the second meeting, we just really got into some pretty heavy discussions that were very beneficial. So, yeah.
And so I'd like to open it up if there are any questions or any other comments on the progress report. If
Hey,
not,
Lauren, I do have a question.
yes.
I was, reading through everything, and there were still a lot of things, a lot of questions on here that needed to be answered. And so I just wondered if the task force, if you thought that there would be another meeting this summer or another, especially with Mr. West going through and going through some of these issues and some of the questions that it seemed that were submitted. And I didn't know if the task force would be getting together another time.
It has not, we have discussed it a little bit. I would like to see them. I'm not opposed to them getting together, even if we get together through a Zoom meeting or wait until later when we can possibly have larger groups meet in a larger space, still socially distanced. The challenge would just be getting all of our schedules to align again. I know that one individual who had been on the task force has now moved out of district and so is no longer going to be able to participate. So then we will have to decide how we want to replace that. It's certainly possible, and we could still send emails and do a survey like we did kind of to close it out. But I definitely think that there would be some benefit in having some additional discussions. Just how we do that is kind of up in the air. All right, if there's no other discussion, we will move on to item B, status of the district. Dr. Stessman.
On Friday, received a letter of complaint from a patron who lives just to the south of the main campus property, Judith Gadzia. We are dumping a lot of water off our building and parking lots that drains onto her property, and it's causing some issues. I contacted Mr. Jim Martin, who is a patron of the district and has done a lot of consultant work for the district in the past. And Jim did some work, and he's very familiar, obviously, with the drainage plan of the district and the main campus. So he took a look at it. He had documents and some information already and a lot of background knowledge. We met this morning, and he did a little more homework. I will send the board her letter of complaint and the documents she sent, and also what Jim has done. The long and the short of it is that we likely are causing some problems because of the volume of runoff that comes off of our parking lots. And if we're to be a good neighbor, we probably should do something to help her remedy that situation. We'll likely contact her to offer some short-term assistance to mediate the problem, and then bring the board a long-term solution, which would involve that area south of the high school that used to be a practice baseball field that no longer is in use, and some dirt work that would enlarge the detention pond that's on the southwest side of the high school property. So we've got the staff survey back, and I will tell you the results are very good in my opinion. Primarily satisfied or highly satisfied, very satisfied. And the lowest mark was for internet access, which we obviously don't control if a patron or a staff member is at home. And we were still 94% satisfied or very satisfied with that. Mr. Urick and Mr. West are working on self-correcting the fees schedule for the high school to right-size the fees and to make sure that they're adequate and appropriate for the purpose for which they are levied. The Shawnee Heights Foundation is sponsoring a trivia contest each day this week. Today was a series of questions about the foundation itself, and was won by a staff member who calls him or herself the Mountain. I don't know who the Mountain is, but when we announce who the Mountain is, I assume tomorrow they'll call to claim their gift certificate.
Oh, ain't no mountain high enough, right?
I'll ignore that right now. Jeannie and I are working on transfer requests. Jeannie's not been in consistently, so if you have questions from patrons who have submitted transfer requests, we're getting those out as she is able when she does occupy the office. And then last foundation grants were due today. We will look through those with the foundation, and I'm sure they'll have announcements in the near future. And that's all for now.
All right, we'll go to Sarah.
Somebody's not muted. Can hear some. So right now the primary things that we're working on in the business office is we're cross-training for payroll. Lisa Davina is a new addition to the Human Resources Department, and we've been reconfiguring a few things. We're doing some cross-training there, and then I'm waiting on the final results from the audit to determine what our final legal max is, so that we can make transfers and adjustments and close out the fiscal year financially. We are still working to resolve some balance sheet issues with Skyward that happened early in the fiscal year, and the way they trained us with regard to making adjustments. It's a quick void process, and it's created a lot of problems with our payroll accounts. So we've just been working through that. We're getting there. We're making progress. It's just taking some time, but otherwise, that's about it. Looking at some policies, making some adjustments to ML schedules and how we use that, and the fees. I've been working with Stacy Bell, and we've just kind of been looking at the fee structure and kind of to coincide with what Mr. Yurick and Mr. West are doing. That's it. Any questions? Okay, thanks.
All right. We'll move on to Dr. O'Brien.
Okay, let's see. State reports were due this past week, and we've got those completed. It was mostly for categorical aid, which is funding for our staff and teachers. We are starting to plan for next year for individual students, but also for building staffing. And so we're working on that. Been working with Power School Special Education Program, problem solving, and some new things that we're putting in place for next year. And just doing a lot of Zoom. So, but it's going surprisingly well, and I've enjoyed seeing all my staff that way. So it's been good. We're doing okay.
All right. We'll go to Katie.
My daughter's doing a clinic right now, so I had to tell her to be quiet. I'm also using these ear pods for the first time. So can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Okay, so things are rocking and rolling at Tecumseh North. Engagement still has been pretty high over, these last 6 weeks. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 6 weeks. We have about 10 students that are receiving packets as an alternative way to get instruction due to internet capability, or just they weren't able to engage as well by using Seesaw. We have started to wrap up classroom activities. I got 600 paper bags donated from Ace Hardware, ones and Hy-Vee, like combined about 600 bags. So teachers have been backing up the kids' stuff, just trying to shut things down for the year. We will have students and their families come and do like drive up where they pick up supplies, their supplies and anything else that they have at school on May the 22nd, that last Friday of school. This week, we're celebrating Teacher Appreciation, which is always a fun week. PTO has bought each staff member a $5 gift card to Sonic, and I'm going to put together little packs with a handwritten thank you card from me. I've got little different kinds of teas that I'll put in there, like to relax, face masks. It'll be interesting what my male teachers do with that, but hopefully they like it, along with like a little inspirational quote, a thank you note, and then the gift card. So those will be going out tomorrow, and then staff will be getting those this week to celebrate Teacher Appreciation. Other than that, we're wrapping up this week with National Field Day. Ms. Covert has organized that. We will have the Kona truck parked in 4 different locations throughout our attendance area. PT is paying for a good chunk of that, and if you come and show the logo either on your phone or you print out the National Field Day logo to prove that you're a Tecumseh North student, your cost for your snow cone is just $1. So I think that's pretty much it for Tecumseh North. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Kirsten.
Oh, are you there? Sorry. Hi, team. I am here right now at Barryton, just working on some class lists. So a couple things that are going on. On the 15th, we've got Rocking and Rolling at Barryton. And that's going to be an event where parents come and they actually drive by staff. So kind of a parade at Barryton. And then they will pull up into the front area right in front of CHIP, and they will collect their materials for our summer send-off. which is a really fun event where we use the arts and our media specialist and our counselor. They all work together just to have a fun educational event that just promotes literacy and promotes movement. So they'll collect all of their materials for those things. And then they'll have the actual summer send off that next week of the 18th via Zoom. And we're excited to still continue with that. And then just planning for our Berryton Distribution Day, which will be May 22nd from 8 to 6. We've got staff already signed up to be here all day long in 4 different areas where parents will be able to pull up and collect student materials. So those are the bulk of the events that we are working on in the future. And for this week, just really trying to celebrate and recognize all of the excellence among our teachers.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, our staff are pleased with the survey results. So considering everything that's going on, that was good to see. Teacher Appreciation Week, each teacher's getting about $10 of worth of goodie bag, gift cards, and so forth. Classified staff also went out last night, I think, and decorated each house somewhat. So they put a sign in their yard thanking them for being a Tecumseh South teacher and so forth. So there's 38 teachers that got their yard decorated, and there's Scranton. Mrs. Gass lives in Scranton. Mrs. Bramwell was out in the Mission Valley district, so they even made the long haul, and it was kind of like old school teepeeing, I guess, in a way, but they didn't teepee. They just put signs and some ribbons and stuff. So that was pretty neat. Our site council meeting was last week. They are adamant that we should do something special to give the 6th graders some closure. And so May 21st, that Thursday from 5 to 7, we're going to have a drive-through promotion where the 6th graders will enter from one end of the school and drive through, and all the staff will be there spread out with signs and thanking them for their time at Tecumseh South. And then as they exit on the other end of the building, they'll pick up their certificate and so forth. So pretty excited about honoring the 6th grade and so forth. And then that talking to teachers, that turned into, well, we want to see all the kids if they can. So for the iPad return on Friday the 22nd, that's going to be from 8 to 6, but the ones who want to come later can come from 4 to 6, and then the staff will be outside again saying goodbye to kids as they their iPads and library books and everything else. So the staff's pretty gung-ho about sending them off as well as we possibly can. Any questions?
What time did you say on the 21st for the 6th graders?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, Ed.
We were open for business today. The high school will have main office staff on duty from 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. We kind of divided up our office staff, both administrative assistants as well as administrators, and each staff member is going to work on site a minimum of 2 days a week for about 4.5 hours each of those days. The bulk of the college credit classes are dual credit courses. Our finals are scheduled for next week. We do have some activities going on this week as well towards that endeavor. AP exams start next week as well. Students can take the exam from home this year, and those exams are a kind of a petite version compared to normal years, but they'll maintain all the potential towards college credit and the other caveats as in previous years. Teachers right now are engaged in discussions regarding how to merge 3rd quarter and 4th quarter grades into a semester grade. You may or may not remember, we're actually keeping those two sets of grades completely separate from each other, something that high schools don't normally do. We don't pay attention to quarter grades that much, but we did under these circumstances because we could. And now again, we're kind of figuring out how to best merge those together, knowing what 4th quarter looks like on the back end of the quarter in order to best serve students in terms of honoring their work and maintaining expectations and recognizing the unique circumstances that each student has faced. Seniors' last day is still scheduled for Thursday, May 14th. While there will be no face-to-face celebrations, it's still a significant moment that's worthy of some acknowledgement. So that's coming up as well. We're on May 4th is today, moving right along. Prom would have been last Saturday, but hopefully we'll get to shove it a few weeks into the future, along with graduation there in late July and early August. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move to Stacy Giebler.
All right, happy Teacher Appreciation Week, everybody. I just want to explain, kind of give you a highlight about how hard these teachers are working. Last week, now our pre-K through 5th grade is using Seesaw, and then most of the 6th grade is using Canvas and or other things. So in Seesaw last week, there were right around 22,000 events, which means the students turned in that many events and teachers commented on 22,000 pieces of student work. So that was an exchange between teacher and student 22,000 times. Not even close to what a regular week would be in person, but it's pretty significant when you think it's all happening virtually. So our teachers continue to be just amazing. And I thank them for everything they do.
Thank you. Stacy Bell. Well, I have been working with all of our teachers to wrap up our ELL plans for the end of the year. Each teacher that works with ELL students needs to identify whether the students met their goal or not, and then document that on their plans and get that turned in so that we can roll that information on to the next teacher. So we are wrapping that up. And Mr. West has worked really hard at getting some of our students to take the Seal of Biliteracy exam. And what that does is it provides kids an opportunity to take an exam in another language other than English. And if they're proficient in a second language and the English language, they'll get a certificate that they can put on a resume or whatever, which is helpful for kids going out into the workplace, that they can say that they are officially biliterate. It gives them just a leg up on other applicants in the work field. So we have, I said 5, we have 6 that we are doing. 4 of them will be able to take it at home as well. They're working on their device will be locked down through the company. And then 2 will be taking it on campus with Mr. West. So we are super excited about that. I think that will be coming later this week. Our social studies curriculum review was put on pause. However, we did have a small pocket of things that needed to be taken care of for this next school year for some of our AP social studies classes. So I've been working with Shannon O'Connor and Curtis Hamilton on that. And then I've been working with posting information for staff and families on student data privacy, because that's really important with the COVID-19. There's a lot of companies that stepped up to the plate, just like our teachers and just like our parents, to help educate kids. And so a lot of these sites are giving away free access, free licensure, and it's really important that they look at the privacy policies of those things to see what is actually done with the data when their kid's account is created. Some of them are very safe and definitely things we would use in our classrooms even, but there are some that aren't. And for example, and they're not necessarily meant to be like harmful, but for example, some will take the kid's name or the parent's name and then contact Google and work with a third-party vendor of some kind to see what your internet traffic is. And then that determines what ads they're going to put in their free site for your kid to observe. So it's just that kind of stuff where we want to make sure that we're, keeping kids safe and just making an educated decision. If you as a parent feel like I'm not concerned about what ads my kid sees,
it's probably not a problem for you, but to be educated is really important. So I'm working really hard to educate our teachers and our parents about those things. And so that's what I've been spending a lot of my time on. Mrs. Giebler and I meet with our instructional coaches every single week to see how our teachers are doing, what needs they might have, what professional development they might be needing or receiving. So we're constantly monitoring that as well. So that's what I've been working on. Any questions?
That's great. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to Becky.
Good evening. Like the other schools, we're appreciating teachers this week, especially. We appreciate them all the time, but this is a special week for them. We're working on our iPad return and pickup of student belongings. I did want to mention, I appreciate Megan Meadfeld, our PTO president, who secured a donation from Dillon's on Brookwood for over 450 paper sacks in order for us to get those school supply packs ready for students to pick up. So we appreciate that community support and her hard work. Wanted to send out a congratulations to Miss Megan Bond, Miss Kristen Hines, and Mr. Peyton Olson. They are 3 Edward R. Pettit Scholarship recipients for this school year. So they were notified today, and unfortunately we won't be having our big assembly at the end of the school year, but nonetheless we are really excited and proud of them. So they'll be receiving those scholarships soon. A big thank you to Tiffany Kinch. She's working on updating our elementary handbooks and our calendars for us. So that's a big project, but we're giving it a facelift. And so you all will be seeing those coming in June, and we're excited for her hard work on that. Also wanted to send a big thank you to our parents for providing feedback on our continuous learning plan, and our teachers for being so responsive to those results. Stacy Giebler mentioned in the last 7 days what it's looked like for the district, but in the last 7 days of SHES, we've had 7,835 responses from teachers on student work. So that's an average of about 1,500 responses a day. And it just goes to show how hard our teachers are working and how responsive they are. And I know that they will continue to work hard for the next 3 weeks of the school year. So I think that's all from SHES, unless you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Blair.
We are busy preparing for the end of the school year and obviously collecting all of those devices with the help of building administrators and their staff. So we appreciate their assistance with that. Obviously, we're going to be taking steps to make sure that those devices are disinfected. So working with Dick Meck to make sure supplies are on hand for that. So appreciate you approving the iPads tonight and for also allowing Wyatt Hofstra to help us in the summer again. Questions?
All right, thank you. Nathan.
Good evening. Our summer painting projects are about 90% complete. We've completed a lot of the painting in the elementary schools, and we've also done a lot at the middle school and the high school. We've still got a few areas to finish up. Our custodians and our mechanics came back full team, full duty today. The custodians are going to start with building turnover, and our mechanics will start getting the fleet ready for the next school year. Our summer flooring projects, contractor's about 85% complete, I'd say, throughout the district. And on Schneider Electric, I've got the latest project status report. We're having weekly meetings with them. And this is the project status report from yesterday. And if you remember, there's 3 components to this project. Number 1 is the lighting. And they started in the high school. Their report says that they're 75% complete, and they've already started moving a few things over to the middle school. That'll be the next school. The second portion of their project is the mechanical work at Tecumseh North, and they've got that listed as 10% complete. The big unit that goes on that roof is on track and scheduled. I think it should be here in about 2 weeks. And so we're looking good on that as far as time frame. The third portion of that project is the building envelope, or the outer skin of the buildings, trying to help with energy efficiency. They've completed the elementary schools, the admin building, the middle school, and the high school, and they're all ready for punch list. And then they're supposed to start tomorrow at Tecumseh South. So we're looking good on that one. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I do
And
have a
really,
question. Sorry, I was a
oh,
little slow
sorry,
on
Rocky.
mute. Hey, is there any been discussion about opening up the stadium for patrons to use the track specifically, say during hours of like say 7 to 7, while somebody's available to open it up and close it down?
You know, to be truthful, Rocky, we've not really looked at that. We'll look at the governor's plan and see what room is allowed for in that, and then we could go ahead and start opening that back up as long as we're in compliance with the governor's reopening plan.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
I think the county plan mentions that playground equipment and sports equipment and stuff are still being discouraged from being used for now during phase 1. But that may change during phase 2. And last but not least, we have Tim.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see all of you. The middle school is in the middle, prosecuting the last few weeks of crisis virtual schooling. The teachers have settled into a nice routine. Generally, teams of teachers are observing team time where they problem solve students' academic and behavior concerns twice a week or 3 times a week, and then meeting as departments twice a week. Most of our students are taking their schooling online. 15 7th grade students take the packet and 4 8th grade students take the packet. It's not always because of internet access. Some students just prefer that, or they have an accommodation for paper and pencil. And so we provided, of all the barriers Shawnee Heights Middle School students face to being successful online, access to internet is actually the least among those. And so a lot of parents have purchased the internet if they didn't have it already. And so we're operating pretty smoothly. I think that in the waning weeks of our schooling experience here, our professional improvement focus has been on the universal design principles for a good Canvas course. We're paying attention to how navigable a course is, how intuitive it is for students and parents to use. Is information located in a consistent space from teacher to teacher? Are they set up in a way that makes it easy to use and for you to get the information and submit your assignments? And so the teachers are actually creating walkthroughs and demonstrations and doing a little show and tell with their Canvas course as we explore that. From feedback that we received from both parents and students, we know that advanced communication of a week's learning is tantamount to good curriculum. So all the teams are sending a Friday email, and that just outlines the learning and all of the core classes in a single email. And it's generally in a matrix or an outline form, and it tells parents and students when the live and recorded lessons are going to drop, when the assignments are due, when the teachers have office hours and reteaching lessons, and allows families to work together to create a weekly and daily learning plan. And that's very, very helpful. If anyone asks, Shawnee Heights Middle School is observing a credit, no credit grading plan for the 4th quarter with an option to earn an A or a B should the child be able to do that. But no student is going to earn a C, a D, or an F this quarter. It's credit or no credit with an option to earn a good grade, and most are fairly satisfied with that. I found myself feeling very complimentary of the middle school staff during Teacher Appreciation Week. They're very talented, mature, and thoughtful faculty. But in particular, I'm very pleased with how supportive and uplifting the teachers have been for each other. There are email questions that come out every day on our email list, and it won't be but 5 or 10 minutes before another teacher has posted a video tutorial to answer that question. And while I've always known that the teachers were very supportive of each other, the personal research that everyone is doing to be the best online teacher they can be and to support the work of their colleagues is pretty impressive. Just a few other notes. The admin team, the mental health team, and the building leadership team, we're all working together to create a flexible learning plan for the building for the 2021 school year. The goal of the plan is to set a level of expectation for how the building is going to provide continuous access to education, regardless of where middle school students are learning next year. Teachers are cleaning out their rooms May 4th, 5th, and 6th. The last day to submit late work is going to be May 19th, and the iPad drop-off will be at the middle school on May 22nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to have a 12-hour shift there for families to come in. That way, we're not all starting or ending on the same time as districts there, and so run paraprofessionals in 2 shifts. The way that'll work is kids will come into the gym. All the iPads will be laid out by advisor team. There'll be tables with a name tag for each advisor teacher, and on the table will be a promotion certificate. Every kid's going to get a promotion certificate in recognition of the adverse learning conditions presented by the COVID pandemic, and it'll say that right on there. They will pick up their promotion certificate and put down their iPad, and that'll be a good visual way for us to see which kids have been in the building. Teacher appreciation. All the teachers received a nice gift. Brad and I spent some time making some cards for them. We believe that Shawnee Heights Middle School teachers are all ×10 mega winners who deserve a whole lot of love for their commitment to academic and behavior outcomes for kids. So if you can guess by the puns what their prize was. And then just some notes for the next board meeting. I have this plan to bring the curriculum guides for our 6 new ELA electives and for Mr. Thomas's personal finance elective to the board for board approval at the next regular meeting. And then my other plan is to make edits to the 2021 middle school handbook and bring it to the Board of Education for review. Sometimes there are things that you want to have done and you're able to provide approval. Sometimes they're pretty substantive changes that you need and you want to see it again. But if we could work together to get that approved by the first board meeting in June, that would be very ideal. Are there any questions?
I think you've covered it all. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to questions and comments from board members. Rosa?
I have a few, so I have a list. I was curious to know how lunches have been going. Has that increased? Has that decreased? And just making sure that we're definitely getting those lunches to the kiddos. So I was just curious what those numbers were.
I think the numbers have remained relatively constant. And if you give me 30 seconds while you ask your next question, I can give you numbers for last week.
Okay, awesome. For my fellow board members, if you have not been on those Wednesday phone calls at noon that that they have for school board members, those are really great. I missed 1 week, but I've been on 2 of them and have learned a lot. And they do some breakout sessions. So you can register for those and they're free. And so it's a great way just to hear what's going on through all this COVID-19. So I just wanted to mention that. Let me keep going. Okay, and keep going. I wanted to say thank you to Amber Otting from One Gas, who was able to help out with the grant that we approved and the money that came into the district. And thank you to, I'm guessing, Ms. Giebler, Mrs. Bell, Dr. Sussman, and Mr. Hirsch, who helped facilitate all of that. I know that we didn't know if there was a chance that we could get any of that money. So thank you for making that all possible, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. I just happened to be the one to send the email saying, here's something to do, because there's not enough right now. So thank you for making that happen, and thank you to One Gas and Amber Otting for that donation. Kindergarten Roundup. Nobody mentioned it, and I was curious where things are with Kindergarten Roundup.
I'll let one of our elementary people chime in on that. That was discussed at the last meeting.
I can talk to that, speak to that. As far as the building plans, they each have a different way of welcoming the kindergartners into the building next fall. But for right now, future kindergartners have been registered and pre-enrolled, and they are set up to enroll with the rest of the district on July 1st when we open online enrollment. So we have been advertising and kind of beating the bushes for kindergartners. The principals and teachers are doing a great job of recruiting people, and several different buildings are doing little things to encourage and make this time special. But most of the time, most of the effort will happen next fall.
Awesome. Okay, I think my last question is, I saw on that Keisha had announced about the June 1st sports, and I didn't know if anyone could elaborate a little bit more than the snippet that I saw on the news tonight.
So yeah, the Activities Association, we had a board meeting on Friday afternoon on into the early evening. They've approved a plan that starting June 1st, schools can have camps, and they regulated how that happens. And but probably the biggest piece of that was that districts and schools can start camps as we see fit on a county by county basis once the all clear is given. So whatever restrictions that each specific county has within and that schools operate under, the district within those guidelines can go ahead and start opening up opportunities for kids to get on campus and for coaches to work with kids.
And will those include like the younger kids camps as well, or no, not necessarily?
The younger kids camps generally they're not under jurisdiction of the Activities Association. That would mostly be middle school and high school in terms of what they have influence over, but certainly districts could operate. We can make our own decisions regarding elementary and what that looks like under the guidance of the county.
Okay, that's all I had, so thank you.
Yeah, and I'll have more on that probably at the next board meeting. I'll tune into that or can get you more information once Cody's kind of had a chance to move forward with that, some sort of a plan. And once they've got an opportunity to kind of look over the regulations, by then probably too, we'll have a little bit more guidance from the county, or maybe predict what June might look like, at least the first part of June, and what we can do and not do.
Regarding meals, last week, Rosa, we served 3,055 lunches and 3,140 breakfasts.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. And a special thank you to Mr. West and Ms. Monholland and Mr. Whitney for doing the drive-through graduation pickup stuff. That was really cool to see, and the number of teachers and admins that came out for that, and just the students' faces. And I thought that was amazing. So what a great idea. So thank you all for coordinating that.
Lauren, I don't have any questions, but the only thing that I wanted to comment on today was running an errand to the post office and saw quite a few of the senior signs that were out, and just, I mean, it's sad that they have to have just the signs, but it was really warming to my heart that they were there. So however that happened, I was very glad for them that they had those signs that were out. And that's it.
Okay.
When it comes to those, this is Jason. When it comes to those signs, there's been an awful lot of honking going on. I got to replace the switch in my horn. It's been going so long. So it's great to see those out. I do have a question for Mr. West a second. During the course of our meeting, I received a direct email from somebody who wanted to ask about the ACT results that when the juniors took it this year. They're asking me if the results have been sent out or broadcast, anything like that. Can you answer that?
I'd be happy to. If you can just direct them my way, I'd be more than happy to get them what information they need.
All right. I'll get it your way in about an hour.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Okay. Anybody else?
I know at our last board meeting, we approved renewing up with the KSB for a variety of things. And one of the things that they had was their, they called it their legal assistance. And my question, I guess, I know we've for a variety of reasons have spent some a decent amount of money on legal fees this year. That I know one of the things that we paid for was like a contract review, and I'm just curious if administration knows what types of things we can use their assistance for. Would that have been a scenario where we could have, okay, you know, they KSB maybe has some boilerplate contracts that they use, or they could review the ones that we are using and determine if those, you know, are satisfactory or not, and that type of thing.
Our general rule of thumb with attorneys, Rocky, in the past has been most things that are school law specific, specific to school employment, school discipline, or school situations. KASB has the legal expertise to comment on that or issue us an opinion on that. Anything that is generally not school specific, which would include contract review that might not be an employment contract with a teacher or an administrator, a different type of contract with or an RFP or something of that nature, we would have our district attorney review. Not sure if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, I think it does. It just gives me some parameters about, you know, when we need legal assistance or advice or opinions on certain things, where do we, you know, where can we go to for, you know, somewhere where it may be a little bit cheaper or free, something we paid for as part of our agreement with KASB versus something that we have to pay, you know, a high priced attorney for.
Yeah, we use KSB quite a bit without the board's knowledge. We will call them for an opinion, or we'll run a situation by them and ask them for their advice or recommendation as administrators. I would estimate that happens a couple times a week total.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you very much.
I had a couple of questions. When I was reading in the governor's plan, and I believe it's in phase 2, they can start opening day camps. Does that mean that our Boys and Girls Club camps will be able to operate again in our buildings, or what will determine that?
We need to have a conversation yet with the Boys and Girls Club. The nature of Tecumseh North and the construction over there is such that we would not be able to host a program there. That would limit the program to Tecumseh South only. Also, that would mean that Tecumseh South would be our place for lunch service as well this summer. If we abide by the governor's plan, the numbers for Boys and Girls Club will be severely limited, and the access to the building and the number of groups they can have will also be limited. We'll entertain a discussion with the Dawn at Boys and Girls Club about how she would like to proceed, given those restrictions. I know that she operates programs at the other county schools as well, so we'll try to be consistent as a unit with them as well.
The other question I had was, I know that there have been a lot of articles circulating that I've been reading talking about how school is most likely going to look different in the fall. What kind of discussions have you been having with our building leadership teams about what school will look like for us in the fall?
I've asked each of the building principals to give some consideration to what different means and what different might look like given the condition that we had limited numbers of students allowed in the building. That being said, we've been advised by KASD to not do too much work on that just yet. They will come out with guidance in the near future that would help to inform those deliberations.
Okay.
So we will await that guidance.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions or comments? I don't believe we have an executive session. Is that correct, Dr. Stessman?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Then I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh,
I just wanted to say
Yep.
thank you to all of our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. We're not going to be able to pass out cinnamon rolls, which is really sad. And so, so I just wanted to say thank you to all of our amazing teachers for everything that they're doing. And Ms. Bevins, if you could let your little one wave, that would be awesome. We can all wave to her. So, but I just wanted to say thank you to all of our teachers because they're pretty darn amazing, especially through all of this right now. Sorry, Jason, go ahead and make your motion.
Move for adjournment.
all right. We've got a motion by Jason. Do I have a second?
Eric, second.
I have a second by Eric, and we will move to a roll call vote. If I can get my list out. Rosa Cavazos, or Rocky Buznitz.
Rocky, yes.
Rosa Cavazos.
Rosa, yes.
Eric Deecher.
Eric, yes.
Renee Hansen.
Renee, yes.
Erica Price.
Erica, yes.
Jason Schultz.
Jason, I.
And Lauren is a yes. That's a 7-0 vote. So we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and have a great week.
Signing documents again, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Signing documents at
They'll be
central
on-
office.
They'll be at the same place. Thank you.